What up, guys? I just want to say up front, there's going to be spoiler warnings. You've had plenty of time. You've been warned.
I don't know why that's breaking me. I'm so fucking high, but that just made me laugh my ass off. Okay. Let me compose myself. Here we go. Friends clap. What up, y'all? Welcome to Pics, or It Didn't Happen. I am Fats King. I am always joined by my brother, the Yeti. You want to say what's up, homie?
I'm here. We're back.
You're so not a gangster.
I'm not, but I love Blaze, so I'm a.
All right, that's acceptable. And we're joined by a close personal friend of mine, Mr. Chase Franklin. You want to say what's up, bro?
Well, what's up?
And I have brought him on here today because he is a aficionado in all things Marvel, same as myself. And today, the point of today's episode is we're going to talk, discuss, and recap the year that Marvel TV and movies have had. I'm going to say right now, before we get any further, you were given a warning at the beginning. I'm going to give another warning just so nobody can bitch. There will be huge spoilers for everything that has been out for the last year. If you have not seen it by now, then don't watch this episode. Or do and get pissed off and complain in the comments, because, I love that shit.
Yeah, go for it. Also, while you're in the comments, we also had Chase on because he is a super celebrity Scrim looking dude. So if you think that he as well looks like Scrim, go ahead and leave us like a little heart down in the comment.
Just for final proofs, so he can let it go. But yeah. So I guess the first thing I wanted to say, I didn't watch the Eternals, so we're not going to talk about that. I'm sure that has like major world breaking events that I did not see. Well, I didn't see it, so oops, too fucking bad.
It'll be out on streaming something eventually.
That's what I'm waiting for. There's a lot of people who are pissed off about streaming, but we won't go into that.
We're not going to talk about that.
So all right, let's start with Wanda Vision, because that's where this all really started. This show was like nothing I had ever seen before in my life.
Except for it was like everything you ever seen in your life, which is really
yeah. That was yeah. But it always had there was always this undertone of malevolence you could feel no matter what was going on. And the first thing I want to say, we all learned really quickly that just because you want it to happen does not mean they're going to do it on screen.
Yeah, they don't have to listen to you. They don't.
Mephisto. I'm gonna say it one more time. Mephisto. How many people said there was Mephistos everywhere?
Yeah, let's not get into that.
That shit was ridiculous. But so anyway, the point of WandaVision was this was her having to cope with losing Vision. If you've caught up to this point, we all know that Vision was definitely murdered to shit in Infinity War by Thanos. Murdered twice, killed once by his wife, and then murdered to shit again by Thanos, as I said before. But we've seen what happens when someone with this kind of power doesn't know how to deal with grief, is the best way to put what this show really was about. Do I have any arguments on that?
No, not at all.
No. I mean, and that's a pretty common thing. Like, I mean, even in the real world, everybody deals with grief differently. And if you have that much power to do whatever you want to do, of course you're going to do it. We all would if we had the power.
Yeah, and through her grief, she manifests this giant hex over a town called Westview. If I remember correctly, I can't remember the town's name. Did I get that right?
Yep, Westview in New Jersey.
Fuck yeah. Nothing good happens in New Jersey.
Nope.
But so all of these people that were in this town are suddenly pulled into this, for a lack of better terms, sitcom that Wanda is watching, or that Wanda watched as a child, that she's trying to live, that gives her some kind of feeling of escape from this unbearable grief she's been going through. And it's like, we won't go episode by episode because that's just going to take too damn long. But The villain, we learned the villain is Agatha Harkness. Everybody kept expecting it to be these big, huge bads that we've all been expecting from from either some part of hell or something of that manner. But it ended up being another witch, and all she ultimately really did was bring out Wanda's full potential, which we'll see later on is going to have world-breaking effects. And I'm gonna tie that back into because there's something else that has to do with that. But what was everybody's overall feeling from the show? Like, what did you like? What didn't you like? Is there anything?
Well, personally, I like that it was such a huge step away from everything superhero we've seen so far.
Oh, absolutely.
It was such a interesting show. I like the undertones of it all. Like the Agatha was a great fucking villain.
Yeah, she was. She was a charismatic villain, which you always have to love when you've got a villain on screen that you enjoy seeing them. And I mean, fuck, everybody liked her so much. She's getting her own kind of show, I guess.
Yes, sir.
I feel like Disney Plus is going to give them so much room to just tell all these other stories that really don't need movies.
Yeah, I mean, that's something that's been a long topic because everybody wants their obscure favorite superhero because they're edgy and they don't like the regular ones. But the reality is not every story needs to be expanded upon to that extent. So I think with the direct stream shows and things like that on Disney Plus, that's really going to open up the opportunity to maybe dig into some of these lesser known characters and give them a platform where their story can be seen.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest letdown that everyone quote unquote had from this show was everybody was so banking on Evan. Oh God, what is his name? Evan Peter Williams or some shit like that. I'm gonna fuck it up. I knew it just a second ago, but I smoked too much weed. The guy who was cast as X-Men's version of Quicksilver, when he brought him in, the nerdgasm that everyone had because the thing is everyone was waiting for the opening of the multiverse, and they thought it was going to happen here, and it wasn't. It was just a big old red herring, and I loved watching the internet lose their shit over that one. That one I did enjoy. And another thing I really enjoyed about this show was it was a great way to say goodbye to Paul Bettany's character.
Yeah,
absolutely.
As much as I did not want to, and that show did not make it any easier.
No, but that was the overall feeling. That was the overall message was grief. You have to deal with it. You can't just run away from it, and that's what she tried to do.
I love how they were able to use the different eras of TV to really illustrate that point, because anybody that watched a lot of these classic sitcoms, everything was solved and wrapped up in a pretty little bow, and everything, there was no grief.
In about a half an hour.
Yeah, it was all solved. And they were able to really use that trope to the benefit of the show, I think.
And I feel like the crowning achievement was that we finally, once and for all, are now calling Wanda the Scarlet Witch. She has gained her name.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she got to that next health bar, and I guess we got the final form is unlocked.
Yep, and the scene where that actually happened, if you pay attention to the color of what's going on there, on the sky and the screen, that plays back to Loki, which we'll get to in a minute. But so what was everybody's, I guess we'll say, rating? What was your feeling like? What would you rate it if you had to put a number on it?
Probably about an 8 out of 10.
I'll go 8 out of 10 as well. There's nothing that I myself could say that I would change, but it's just there's a problem Marvel always has with middle episodes, will sometimes feel like they're filler and things like that. And this one, it did have a few of those, but yeah, so I'm cool with 8 out of 10. I agree with that.
Yeah, I would put it about a 9, basically citing just the filler episodes. There was a couple towards the end. It was like, I don't know why I needed that episode, but here we are. I watched it. I still enjoyed it. So
yeah. Oh, we also completely forgot about to mention Monica Rambeau's character.
Oh shit. Yeah.
I didn't mean to gloss. I guess I'll have to gloss over her, unfortunately. But yeah, it was a good intro. It was a good intro to show somebody dealing with being blipped, somebody who popped back up 5 years after the incident. So
yeah,
we got to see that side of the coin as well with her, and her touching the hex gave her superpowers, which I'm sure we're going to see more of. We'll see more of her character. The next one on the list was Falcon and the Winter Soldier, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. This was the one I'm not going to say I was looking forward to most, but I knew was going to be the most action oriented, if that's the best way to put it. And they really gave us that in this story. We see Sam Wilson not really wanting to carry the shield that Cap had passed down to him. This one we see if the message for Wanda Vision was grief, this is dealing with responsibility would be probably the overall message for this one, I think.
I can agree with that.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
And we learn in this story also that the Shield doesn't have as bright a history as we all thought. We learn about Isaiah Washington. We learn about the Black Captain America and what they did to him. And you could see it all weighing on Sam real heavy through this whole thing. And before we even get to that, he gave up the damn shield. Like, he gave it up. He gave it back to them and told them to put it in a fucking museum. What did they do? They gave it to John Walker.
Yeah.
Well, the government's going to get their super soldier, so.
But here's the thing. You could not have picked a better person to play that character. John Walker, it was portrayed by the amazing Wyatt Russell, who knows a little something about living up to someone who's bigger than you. You know, his dad's fucking Kurt Russell. And Absolutely. It was so great to see, to watch his character, because he was a villain, but his fall from grace and the whole thing, it was and Daniel Bruhl as a proper Baron Zemo was honestly those two characters. As much as I love Sebastian Stan and I love the guy who plays fucking the Falcon, now Captain America, I feel like Daniel Bruhl and Wyatt Russell really stole that show with their two characters.
Well, his face was so punchable, so it made it really, really easy to get into the mode of hating that guy.
Oh God, the memes, that was where the memes really got turned up a notch. Everybody said he looked like the guy from Up.
He did. I just want to punch his face every time. Like, get out of here. Hate you. You're not Captain America.
Was you still wanting to punch his face when he was the first person to murder somebody with the shield on national television?
That actually, it made me hate him worse, because damn it, you're supposed to stand for something. And
well, that's the thing. John Walker is not Captain America. John Walker is the U.S. agent.
Absolutely. And I like that they brought that around at the end too. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah, and I did too, and I think that we're going to see more of that in the Falcon and Winter Soldier, or in I guess it'll be the Captain America 4 with that when they do that. They've got so much shit planned. It's so awesome to be a Marvel fan. But like, I really, really enjoyed watching Bucky dealing with the same thing Steve had already dealt with, being a man out of time, not understanding how to deal with living in the century that he's living in. And I really, really, really liked how he was rounding up his Hydra buddies by confronting them like an addict would to make amends, and then calling the cops.
It was a really nice way to end the Winter Soldier moniker and hopefully go into the White Wolf moniker that he got.
Yeah, courtesy of the Wakandans. And we also get to see the Dale Malaja make a return, and the marvelous Janai Guerrera as Okoye, who's always just been a standout in everything she's been in, from Black Panther to Infinity War. She's always been one of my favorite parts of any cast, because she's just a goddamn great actress.
Yeah, she is definitely a screen stealer for sure.
And that's something I also love about Marvel, is they have so many people who do that. So it's kind of hard to always pay attention to what's going on screen, because there's like literally 8 different amazing actors going on in the same scene. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, it actually works. They don't get in each other's way. And like, because I know a lot of times, you know, when you get a couple of people that have those big names tied to them, the hell I'm letting you steal my scene. this is what we're doing, and you get all that infighting. So fortunately, I'm sure Marvel seamed all of that up with their ironclad insanity contracts that you will sign your soul for. So
oh yeah, Kevin Feige will own your children if you fuck around. But one of my favorite parts about this movie, or about this series, was we seen what regular people would do if they were given a super soldier formula. And the way, and another thing I really liked about this one was when the blip happened, borders and things that existed before didn't really matter because there was half less fucking people. So in 5 years, the whole world was completely redesigned as far as who lives where lives what. And then 5 years later, all these people reappear and nobody knows how to deal with half of the population reappearing. So there's war and there's strife that wasn't expected. And there's these freedom fighters. They call themselves the Flag Smashers, and they find a way to get their hands on super soldier formula. And I feel like, I'm not going to say that they were terrorists per se, but they were definitely fighting for a decent cause. But the way they went about it wasn't really working. I really enjoyed watching how John Walker was just completely shunned by basically everybody. They all pushed him to the point where he snapped because he couldn't be Captain America. He couldn't live up to it. When Bucky got out of the truck and was like, "I'd rather walk," you know what I mean? Like it was all just a great disrespect, and it led to what I believe one of the best fight scenes that's happened on a Marvel series or show thus far. That last fight scene they had with him was so good.
It was incredible.
I think a lot of that goes back to I don't know how much research they did, but I think it plays really well that the other characters didn't respond to him taking that position and that title, because what you'll find is when you get somebody in a leadership position that maybe doesn't belong there, but they perform well and their numbers look good, when they go to try to lead, they just can't, because they may have all the information, but they don't know how to convey it or inspire people to follow them. It's kind
There's the one, inspire. That's what you didn't. That's what he couldn't do. He could never inspire people the way Steve Rogers did. It wasn't possible. Steve was more than just a symbol. He was more than just the shield, and that's what John Walker could never be. Another thing that was really great about this show was we've seen that the Avengers don't make shit because Sam can't get a goddamn loan. That's another one that had the internet completely pissed off. They're like, wait a minute, Tony Stark wasn't paying these people?
I mean, somebody should be paying them, but I guess that brings up the question, like, they're not, I mean, as a business, it's a failed business plan, because the superheroes, they show up, they save the day, some things get broken. Well, who the hell is rebuilding these buildings? Who's taking care of all these hospital bills? They're not a government agency, they're just people. So, I mean, if we want to get into that side, that could be a whole well, it would probably be a terribly boring show, but just breaking down, like, okay, how do we make this a profitable thing where superheroes actually make sense? Because in the real world of things right now, it just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So maybe that's the next series. They break down how everybody's going broke and they have to rearrange things.
Well, that's damage control, but that's something whole else.
Yeah.
So and then the final thought for this was we've seen that Sam finally picks up the shield, and he's been training with it and he can use it, but he realizes that with being Captain America, you have to make people, as he said, do better. You have to expect more from America than what we've given. And this one, it got a little preachy, but I felt like it had to. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. It fits the story very well for the preachiness of it, I think.
Yeah. So in this sense, it didn't come off as pretentious, because all the shit he was saying was right. I mean, fuck, didn't they have a couple of cops like fucking pull him over because he was out out when the sun was down in a shitty neighborhood? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah, he was arguing with Sebastian Stan, and
there we go. Yeah, because they ended up arresting Bucky anyway. Yeah, that was funny too. But yeah, no, this was a great way to really move these characters forward. The thing that I've seen is A lot of the shows that they did, the point of it was to pass the torch and move the characters forward, and
Yes.
without having to do it through a big ass movie.
Yeah, and a byproduct of that, I really think, is that they're able to talk about the other sides of the superhero life. It gets to touch on, emotionally what it means to be a hero, not just, all right, we got the bad guys are coming and we got to stop them. You really get to connect with the characters on that deeper level and understand that beyond being a superhero, they are still humans for the most part, that have feelings and emotions and they have to deal with the effects of the things that they're doing.
Yeah, it definitely shows into more of their mental state and how they have to deal with everything. Like you said, it was really nice to see a more human side of the
absolutely, and
overly
I think
powerful people.
even the timing really seems spot on. And
Absolutely right. Like for the whole, I'm not going to use the initials, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, just the time we said, this year was an amazing year, and I think it's a lot of it has to do with people could really connect with that struggle of sort of figuring things out, because we're all doing the same thing, figuring out how do we move forward, what's coming next. It's going to be very interesting to see.
And that was the thing that I liked the best about this show, was it was the one that felt the most grounded and real. And that's not a problem, because the other shows, as fantastic as they were, I like that this one really dealt with what's going on in our society right now. Yes. And if I had to give it a rating, I'm also going to give this one an 8 out of 10 as well.
As will I.
I'm actually going to go probably about 7.5, and that's really just because I've never been a huge action guy. I've always enjoyed the other aspect of the series, which is why I like Thor and Guardians of the Galaxies, because they're hilarious. Oh, hey guys. So while I was editing together this episode, we had tried something new and we had brought a guest in sort of mid-conversation. Unfortunately, our program decided that at that point, it only wanted to record their camera. So for the rest of the video, I guess you guys can enjoy this without seeing our ugly faces. So let's get back into it.
We also have our other guest that we were planning on having us join, by the way. This is my friend, Tyler Martin. You want to say what's up, bro?
What's up, guys?
He is also a nerd like the rest of us, and that's what we're here to continue talking about, is this nerd shit. And we had made our way to Loki, which I'm going to say right now is the best of the TV shows. I'm just going to declare that.
Yeah,
for sure.
So the first thought I have on Loki was, and I said this while we were on break, but I'll say it again. Tom Hiddleston just needs to be Loki forever. He shouldn't do anything else.
Yeah, he's ours now.
He's ours now. But we see the effects of what the Avengers had done in Endgame with their time heist, and we see what happened with the Loki who blipped off a screen with a Tesseract, and we find out about the TVA, the Time Variant Enforcement Agency. And the whole point of these people is to prune and destroy alternate realities, because they believe that we all should be on one sacred timeline. And that's what we've been on, evidently.
And by prune, he means kill. Erase existence.
It does sound nicer when I said my way, but
probably why they used it. We're not hurting nobody. We're just pruning the timeline a little bit, keeping it nice and pretty.
But we are also introduced through the TVA to one of the best characters I've seen in a very long time, Owen Wilson's Mobius.
Yes, I was very, very worried about him being in the movie. I'm not movie show, but he was a fucking great addition.
Absolutely.
I still want him to get his jet ski. I feel sad for him.
Yeah.
Yeah. In some universe, in some variant, there is a Mobius on a jet ski just rolling through. Those of you who haven't watched the show, those were all spoilers. You're an idiot if you hadn't watched it.
What are you doing? Just go watch that shit.
Yeah, just go watch it. It's not that long ago. But the thing with Loki, we see is the variants, and this is one of the coolest things that they've done so far. And we're introduced into female Loki, or Sylvie, as she wants to be known as. I really, 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 really enjoyed the back and forth between her and Tom Hiddleston, the Loki and Sylvie's characters going back and forth the way they did. This was also the biggest show that they've done so far, as far as the grand scape of how far they go across not just reality, time, and space throughout. And we also we learned that the linchpin of the last 10 years, the Infinity Stones, well, they're fucking paperweights to these people.
Yeah. So I mean, you talk about power creep. I mean, we all kind of expected it, because once you've had Thanos and these Infinity Stones, like, there has to be something more threatening than that. And the whole TVA and the pruning the timelines and the multiple universes, I think that's going to open up some really stupid doors. Should be entertaining to see what they decide to bring into the MCU.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And the whole thing that I was talking about with the sacred timeline, the TVA is ran by the three timekeepers, who are mystical beings that we're not supposed to ever see. They're far off. But Loki and Sylvie are trying to hunt for them because, well, you know, they don't want to die. I mean, nobody wants to, but the thing that we learn through all of this is we learn that there's not three, but one sacred timekeeper, and specifically he goes by the name of He Who Remains. And the best part about this character is, for those who've watched Marvel, this is a Kang variant, Kang the Conqueror, but not that Kang, which is always the greatest part about Kang, is because you're never quite sure which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
What was everyone's feeling on that character, his introduction and the way he was brought in? Like,
I think it was the best introduction to a character that we've seen on at least the shows. Jonathan Majors, I think, carried the ending of that show on his fucking shoulders.
Oh, well, yeah, that speech he gave. Whew.
Oh yeah, that monologue was so long, but it was so good.
I also think with what's really interesting is with that the He Who Remains thing, it really sort of opens up the question of, well, if this is the end of the world or the end of the timeline, but is it only the end of the timeline because he's there? What goes beyond that? Because you can't really look at, it's hard to think of life beyond what you're going to be there for. And with him spanning so much time, it really just opens up a whole can of worms to play with timelines and really get confusing.
Well,
with, I guess
if you looked at his death, and it also happens in No Way Home, which we'll get there too. But and it was in Wanda Vision, when her and Agatha were having their final their final conflict. It was happening in the background while he was giving his little speech. I mentioned I was gonna tie that back together. The red flashing, that was they said that that's supposed to be exactly in sync of when Wanda and Agatha are doing their little thing in the sky.
Right. And the thing is, the timeline did keep going in some way or another.
But it's gonna.
They crossed over in the middle of the episode.
Yeah.
Like he stood up and was like staring around.
Yeah, that's the one. When he said, "I don't know what's going to happen next," that is supposed to be exactly in sync of when Wanda and Agatha were in the middle of their fight scene. The thing is, the character Sylvie, she was in so much pain, even being told what she's about to do is going to wreck every fucking thing. She still stabs this dude right in the chest. And question, would y'all do the same? Would anybody have chose differently?
I would have chose to take over the TVA. That'd have been so much more fun. And I could go back in time, and certain people wouldn't hang themselves in their in the cell.
Oh yeah. That's something that's definitely something that would be really cool if we could make that happen. But
That's a lot of power to say no to, but man.
Well, and the other thing that we also see in this series was it was the only one that's been guaranteed a season 2, because it's just like He Who Remains said, when Sylvie killed him and she released basically the multiverse. We go back to the TVA, and it's the same, but it's different. And I'm gonna say this, since Kang was the big villain in this, and we were supposed to not really be able to know it was him, they kind of made it obvious really quickly.
I mean, we're gonna get evil Kang, a badass Kang.
Well, that's the Conqueror. That's who we'll see in Ant-Man 3, but we're not there yet. But that's who was in charge of the TVA at the end of Loki. Make no mistake. That was the real bad guy. And I also seen that this one showed Loki lose so much each time. And he thought that he built it back up. He gained a friend. He kind of fell in love with Sylvie, which, again, how fucking narcissistic is that?
I love myself.
It's in character.
It is very in character. And then at the end, when everything's supposed to be fixed per se, he's lost everything again. He's lost the one guy who claimed to be his only friend. He's lost the one woman who he believes he's loved, and we're back to basically square one for old poor Loki.
Yeah. And it's only going to get worse.
If I had to put a ranking on this show, this is a 10 out of 10. There's not one thing that they did wrong in this. This story was so epic and sprawling that it needed to be told the way it was.
Yeah, I have to agree. It's a straight 10 out of 10.
Yeah, I'll give it a 10. There's only the only one thing that I kind of wish they could have added a little more to was some Crocodile Loki, because I just
oh God, I almost forgot. There's a scene. If you're watching this, you haven't watched it. There's a scene where there's literally 9 Lokis on screen, and they're all betraying each other. Oh, another high point. Another high point. Old Loki was.
Old Loki was great.
Yeah, he was amazing. Richard E. Grant, man.
That's his name. I can never remember. I can remember if it's Grint or Grant. Yeah, that dude.
Full of glorious purpose.
Yes. And it's great that he was the one that was sort of like, he actually made a sacrifice. And I guess that's in his old age, he was able to sort of look at with a little more perspective than most other Lokis who are everything is about them, which I guess in a weird way was all about them anyway.
He was just so damn tired of running. So I get why he did what he did.
Oh, for sure.
And shout out to old Loki in the comic proper costume.
Oh yeah, it looked ridiculous on screen though.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, that was the point.
Yeah, that's something I love about this new phase, is that they're going very comic accurate with their costumes.
They really are. We've seen that with Sam Wilson and his fucking comics accurate Falcon Captain America blend with the wings and the shield, and we finally, as we said before, got to see Wanda in a proper Scarlet Witch outfit, which wow.
Right. The only thing is, I know some of the movies that have had more accurate representations, especially with the females, they tend to get a lot of heat because how dare that director make them wear that?
They chose to wear
it. Drawn.
I said, yeah, it is what it is. Get over it. So the next show would be What If, and we're not going to spend a whole lot of time on this because it's not really easy to explain this show, other than saying it's the best way to explain What If is exactly what it is. Imagine a key point in our Marvel MCU universe being changed just enough to change everything.
I mean, to sum it up, I think really it's fanboy, fan service. It's really just all the hypotheticals and all the things that people talk about on the internet chat rooms, giving those stories like, okay, well, that's not what's going to happen, but here's a little contained episode where if that happened, this is how we see it happening.
I feel like the best addition to What If was Bro Thor.
Yeah, that or Evil Doctor Strange was pretty good.
Yeah, Evil Doctor
That episode
Strange
blew my mind.
was also
I was
fantastic.
about to say Strange Supreme.
And I'm also a big fan of Super Ultron.
Oh yeah, that was dope.
So we like I said, we won't spend a whole lot of time on this one. But just watch it. Just fucking watch it. It's animated, so you don't have to spend a whole lot of time on it. Fuck it, do some acid. You'll enjoy it.
Or just hang out and watch it. It does. If you're interested in expanded lore or hypotheticals, then it's definitely the show for you. Especially if you're really into Marvel, there's a lot of cool like little hidden things and like slight changes that you can notice. I know a lot of you Pete guys, you're really into peeping the background and getting every drop of information that you can from every show. That's your thing.
I also like the return of certain actors whose characters technically are dead.
Yeah.
So them being brought back in voiceover form was pretty cool.
It was a nice little send off.
There you go. This is out of order, but we're just going to roll to this next. The next one we're going to talk about is Hawkeye, which a lot of people were talking shit before it even started because it's just about it's Hawkeye, the everyone's least favorite Avenger. But I'm going to say this show had the biggest heart, and it really, really left you with good fucking feelings at the end. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Oh, for sure.
I didn't catch this one.
Well, that's because you suck.
Yeah, well, I mean, it falls into the typical category. I mean, if you're saying there's some heart there, maybe I'll check it out for the story. It's just one of those typical things. Like, usually when it's a straight up like action-oriented film, it just doesn't grab me, and I find it a chore to get started. And a lot of times I end up loving it once I start it, but just starting.
This is the thing you need to understand about Hawkeye. This is a passing of the torch story, is what this is. This is the best. This is them having to Jeremy Renner out of his contract so he doesn't have to be Hawkeye anymore. And it's the story of a character named Kate Bishop, who is at one point the next Hawkeye. That's what she does. She's a world-trained archer and a world-trained martial artist, which we learned that her father was killed in the Battle of New York, and she was basically saved by Clint Barton, Hawkeye. I like this because we see him having to clean up his mess from the 5 years that he spent as Ronin when he was just murdering bad guys.
Man, Haley Steinfeld, I don't know how the fuck to say
Steinfeld, I think there's a T in there.
I think so, maybe. She was fucking amazing in this. She embodied Kate Bishop from the comics, I think.
Absolutely. And there was nice winks at, everybody talks shit about he's just an archer, what can he do? And we finally got to really see the trick arrows get busted out. And this was a great way to really, really show that, Hawkeye isn't the worst Avenger. I will say this though, we don't need a Rogers musical. It's not necessary.
No. I was very disappointed with that.
I was gonna say that's the worst post-credit scene they've ever done.
Worst post-credit sequence ever. I will stand by that. I remember watching it just thinking like something's gonna happen. Any minute now, something's gonna happen.
Yep. The only reason why I finished it was like, oh yeah, they're gonna pan around to the audience and it's gonna be someone. No, it's just a waste of my fucking time.
It should have been. It really should have been. That would have been the best way to do it. Just have like fucking She-Hulk in the audience or something. Fuck's sake.
Yeah. Before we do move on to the next one.
Oh, we're not done. We have the biggest part about Hawkeye that we have to talk about is the introduction of the Kingpin.
Vincent D'Onofrio,
who is the best Kingpin ever. And I know, Chase, I know you were a little upset at the way he was represented on screen. You want to go ahead and touch on that?
Yeah, just going from the Netflix series, because I rewatched it ahead of the finale. He was a very brutal man. And in no way, shape, or form should he have been by fucking Kate Bishop. I am sorry. I'm just saying. A little arrow's not going to fucking stop him. He was supposed to be this big menacing threat, and he was just underutilized, I think.
I don't know. Like he got shot in the chest by that arrow. He stood on a pile of the trick arrows, and he didn't die from any of that.
That's
Yeah.
what,
And the
that's
part where
what
he
I said.
gets
I was
caught
like,
in the alley happens in the comic books as well. He gets shot in the eyes and blinded in the comics. So
Yep.
like all of that falls into the comic books.
It does, but at the same time, like they could have done them just a little bit better.
Yeah, I just
think-
don't know. Like
know
if
it's not
they
gonna-
decapitated Kate Bishop with a car door, like I'm pretty sure Disney would have gone home at that point.
I mean,
we
they-
did see how strong he was. He did rip a goddamn car door off of its
Yeah.
hinges, and I think that we're not done with him. We'll see more of
not at
this. So I see where you're coming from about how he didn't come off as strong as he was, but I'm going to say that the beating he took shows durability, which is another thing that he's
absolutely.
definitely known for, because she beat the shit out of him and he just kept getting back up. And as I pointed out, he was getting the better of her in that fight before her lucky ass shot, which shows that that's the only reason why she survived was pure luck. But this was and this is the other one that I want to touch on since we're here on this. There are a lot of people who are saying that it isn't the same Kingpin. We're getting a quote unquote variant, if you will.
Yes, but I've also watched a couple interviews by Vincent D'Onofrio that he is talking about how it is exactly the same.
It is.
And
So that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, why are people saying that they don't believe it when the actor himself has already confirmed what the directors and writers have told him? This is their final proof that the Netflix universe is canon. It did happen. We all were there.
mm-hmm.
I mean, because I'm sure the people that don't believe it are just like, well, he's saying that because he has to, and that's not.
Well, okay, so this is the greatest way to close out the TV shows. This is what I'll sum up with this. People get pissed off at shows when their fan fiction that they wrote in their head isn't what's on screen.
They really,
Well, I hate to break it to you. You're not the one paid millions of dollars to do this, so shut up and watch the show.
I'm sure they'll take your application though. They're probably accepting applications.
It's funny. Casey gives me shit because I try to predict things because I'm just as bad. But I don't hate a show because it doesn't go the way I want it to.
Oh, neither
But I do try to predict things that are coming. And she said, this was her quote. She said, "You nerds are the worst. You ruin your own experience trying to watch the fucking show and predict what's going to happen."
Well, fuck you, Casey. You're right.
it's fair.
She's not wrong though.
Well, that didn't go the way I wanted it to.
Exactly. I hate this now. This didn't work out the way I wanted it to. I hate this now.
Yeah. So now that we're wrapping up the TV series, we are going to touch on Spider-Man and all the things that brings to the table. But you did bring up something earlier, so I kind of wanted to bring that back up again.
Okay.
You said that Hawkeye is not the worst Avenger. Who do you think is the worst Avenger then?
Like, are we talking on the show or
like MCU?
MCU?
Yeah.
Before he got the shield, I gotta go with Falcon. Flying and guns is not a great power.
I
Yeah.
have to agree.
What was
Yeah.
that?
I said I have to agree. Yeah.
Anybody else?
Can't really think of much. No.
Yeah.
Although I will say that show Solar Opposites skewered Hawkeye when they were like, "What's my superpower? Aiming. Aim at you. Aim at you." That was pretty funny. So again, you were warned at the beginning. I'm going to give you one more final one if you pop in whenever. This is another huge spoiler alert. Spoiler alert. We are about to talk about Spider-Man No Way Home.
This is the newest stuff, so.
Which, oh my God, if you haven't seen it, go see it.
What the fuck?
Bootleg it. I don't even care. Find a way to watch this fucking movie.
Yeah, Sony's going to get your $15 or more, so just cough it up and check this one out.
Yeah, this won't be streaming anytime soon.
No.
So I guess we should open up that this movie literally picks up right after fucking Far From Home ended. Like literally right after J. Jonah Jameson shows the video of Mysterio outing Peter Parker as Spider-Man. And we see exactly what would happen to poor teenage Peter if everyone knew who he was.
Mm.
What was everyone's feelings on the beginning of it, like the whole showing his outing and downfall, as it were?
I highly enjoyed it, actually. I think it was very in universe for that to happen, especially with everything that has transpired around Spider-Man. For it to just be some random high school kid, I think it fits very well with what would have actually happened.
Well, I also like it because it shows us for once and for all why J. Jonah Jameson is pissed off at Spider-Man. What does he hate him for so much for? Now we know why. Because he stands with Mysterio. Oh my god, I fucking love that shit when they go inside his high school and one of the teachers is just like, I don't believe you, I don't trust you. It was Hannibal Buress was the gym teacher, and he was just poor Peter, man. Just he could not catch a break.
Yeah, and that's kind of the reality that to me it was very believable, and that's always been the story of why masked superheroes wear a mask, because they don't want their identity to get out there. And this showed very realistically what could happen, especially it's especially with social media, which they played into a part of it, and the news in general, as it always has. When you have that one big dissenting voice, it's never gonna be a positive experience, because that one dissenting voice, if it's loud enough, is gonna make a group of people against you. And that's kind of with hilarity with the basketball coach or the gym coach there, how that's going to happen. 5-10 of your friends are going to love you, but there's going to be the 5 other people that don't know you and just like, yeah, that guy told me this, so that's what it is.
It was also great to see Flash Thompson claiming to be Spider-Man's best friend when he hated Peter Parker but did love Spider-Man. The other thing that you've seen in the beginning of this is Peter and MJ's relationship kind of blossoming more inside of all of this, because she's been labeled one of his conspirators, just like poor Ned. And they're actually been denied the right to get into MIT, which is the school they all absolutely wanted to go to when they graduated. And we see all of these things weighing on Peter's family and friends, and it's the reason why he goes to Doctor Strange and tries to get him to help his situation magically.
Right. I do like the comedic aspects of this film. There was a very well placed interjection to this whole love scene. We've seen it. Nothing new is happening here. Move it along. Let's go. And Strange calling him out for not using a phone before he called his almighty sorcerer friend to fix it.
Yeah, that was good too.
I think the comedy was done very well in this movie compared to the other Spider-Man movies.
Yeah, I could see that. So Peter goes to Doctor Strange, who is now no longer Sorcerer Supreme, which I did not know that's how they rolled that through, but he's right. Wong was the one that was left on Earth, so sorcerer by process of elimination. And we've all seen the memes already, but I'll just say this: Wong is the embodiment of "that's not my fucking problem" in this movie.
Did you guys notice that in the actual movie he didn't say "don't cast that spell"? That he just said "leave me out of it" and then walk through the portal.
Yeah, that was weird. The trailers had a lot of misdirection to keep.
Yeah, like the grenade flies past Peter too, and he swats it away in the movie.
Yeah,
so the trailer, they changed a bunch of stuff.
But they do that so people can't be like, you ruined everything in the trailer, because you thought you saw shit. There was a lot of red herrings in the trailer that made people think that a lot of things were going to happen that didn't. But so Peter asked Doctor Strange to make a spell that will make everyone forget he's Spider-Man. But in the process, he realizes he has a few people who he still wants to remember that he's Spider-Man. And he ruins the spell. And it opens up the beginnings of... I'm not for sure exactly how this time frame links up with everything else that's playing out in the MCU, as far as Wanda Vision and Loki, because those were the other two shows that really, really dealt with world-breaking events. But we've seen the spell that it goes horribly awry, and we get pulled in all the people who know who Peter Parker is, and that includes Doc Ock, the Lizard, the Green Goblin,
Electro and
Electro.
Sandman.
Thank you. I was missing a few. And the Amazing Tree Man.
Amazing Tree Man. He was the best villain of the whole fucking movie.
Wasn't he though? I really liked seeing some of these characters who, in the case of Electro, he didn't get enough love because his character was kind of shitty in the Amazing Spider-Man 2. I liked seeing his character be genuinely menacing.
Yes.
It was nice to see a lot of villains that didn't get the best treatment getting a real good glossy Marvel coat, as it were. Like I said with Electro, and watching him not be that stupid blue shit and get his proper yellow electrical color. I know that sounds so small, but it really was a huge gripe I had. It was nice to see them fix that. But let's just get to the big moment, what everybody's wanting to talk about. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield on screen again as Spider-Man. You know what I mean? Like, I remember shedding tears during Endgame when everybody popped out of the portals to come back. This was that exact same feeling, that exact same moment when they were on screen. And it, so much so people were so overdosed on the nostalgia that there's rumors that we might be getting an Amazing Spider-Man 3 and a normal Spider-Man 4.
Which I heard those rumors way before this movie even came out.
No shit, I did not.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe
They've been wanting to. Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say maybe this movie being so successful will sort of give those rumors a little more credence and maybe increase the odds of that happening.
So in Spider-Man 2, the Raimi trilogy, they mentioned Doctor Strange in there. They mentioned that the name is already taken. What if the fact that the Doctor Strange that pops up, sorry to go to Multiverse of Madness, but in the Multiverse of Madness trailer is the Doctor Strange from the Maguire.
The Maguire verse?
Yeah, the Maguire verse.
Or the Raimi verse, whatever you want to call it.
Verse, whatever. It's Toby's universe. Fuck Raimi.
I never even thought about that. That's interesting.
I mean, they broke the absolute point in time by sending him back. He was supposed to die. So both of them.
That's something I never even thought of.
The only thing I would have an issue with is, I think really the newest Spider-Man really does the best job of making Peter a teenager.
Yes.
And with Toby being much older now, but his body type isn't the same. He just felt thicker, like he wouldn't be as agile as you would want Spider-Man to be.
I'm sure with a little bit of training, they could get him back into proper shape.
Oh, for sure.
Get him all yogaed out and stretchy.
Mm-hmm. And the thing we see we also get to see a great redemption for the Amazing Spider-Man, for Andrew Garfield. He gets to actually catch the girl falling off of the giant building.
Yes. That actually made me cry. I'm not even going to lie.
Yep, cried like a bitch. Have no problem admitting it.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, you could really tell it meant a lot to his character, and there was definitely some feels at that time. I can't say it was an atmosphere because there was only like 3 people in the theater when we saw it.
I also really enjoyed the fight scene between Spider-Man and Doctor Strange for the box.
Oh, that was amazing.
I think No, you go ahead.
I was about to say, I think they did a Doctor Strange better in this than they did in the Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, and I'll give you that because that was an origin story, and you really can only do so much fucking origin stories. But
look at Shang-Chi. That shit was amazing.
Yeah, that was something whole nother. And we'll talk about that. Then we forgot about Shang-Chi. We'll finish with Shang-Chi. Fuck it. So with the way things are going with Spider-Man, we see at the end of the movie, we see them tearing open what is the multiverse, and I saw silhouettes of characters I recognized. Did anybody? Who did you think you saw? Because I swear I saw Venom.
Scorpion.
That's who it was. It wasn't Venom. It was Scorpion. That's who I saw.
I saw Rhino, Craven, I think Black Cat.
Yeah, that could have been Craven too.
So we definitely see these world-breaking events that have happened over the telling of these movies and TV shows. which, as my friend Tyler alluded to, will lead us to the multiverse of madness, but we haven't seen that yet. Now, aside from all of the shit that tied together for the multiverse breaking events, Chase mentioned, we also got introduced to a new character in Shangshi and the Ten Rings. And before we close out, Spider-Man 10 out of 10.
Oh, yeah.
Best Spider-Man movie yet.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Oh yeah.
I agree. I don't see how they could have done anything differently. And at the end, when Peter chooses to have everybody forget who he is, I really enjoy this because now we get to see Peter start working for the Daily Bugle. The first interaction of him giving J. Jonah Jameson pictures of Spider-Man. We might get to see what the MCU's version of Gwen Stacy looks like. We're going to see college Peter Parker, which, if anybody knows from the comics, is some of the best Spider-Man stories that we have.
Oh, for sure. I'm thinking it's not going to be Gwen Stacy. It's going to be more Black Cat.
Ooh, Felicia Hardy. That's also very possible. And that's the thing. What we see is this leaves us open for another trilogy. This opens up for a whole another set of Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, which we know we all want more of because they're like fucking crack.
Yeah, and Electro might even get his wish because somewhere out there is a Black Spider-Man.
Oh, for real? We want to talk about humor. That fucking scene
lost
had me dying, bro. When he's like, "I thought you'd be black," or the scene where Andrew Garfield pops Tobey Maguire's back because he knows that's the right way to do it.
That was a good callback too.
And before we leave, I guess I also want to say one more thing. R.I.P. Aunt May. You were great on screen, but it was time for you to be fridged.
Yeah, hot Aunt May.
Yeah.
Excuse me, that's the Rami trailer, Aunt May, or the Rami trilogy.
That's the real hot Aunt May.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so we'll wrap this up with Shang-Chi and the Ten Rings, the best way to write an origin story. As I said, origin stories usually aren't the best, but this right here was the best way to introduce a new character, new powers, and a new side of the MCU.
Yes. Absolutely. I think how they went about doing this it gave me the feeling of the first Iron Man when I first saw that. It was
I can see that. I can agree with that. I also loved that we finally got to really, 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 really meet the Mandarin.
Yes.
And boy, was he pissed off about that name.
Bringing back Ben Kingsley as Trevor Slattery was really fun. I was not expecting that when I saw it.
Yeah, that was a great laugh for the story. What I liked about this was the best martial arts that any Marvel movie has done so far. Any Marvel series has done so far.
Oh yeah.
Oh, rewind. Charlie Cox is Daredevil. I forgot about that. We'll fix this in post or whatever. But we talked about Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and now we finally see Charlie Cox as Matt Murdock. We haven't seen him as Daredevil yet, but we definitely see him as his lawyer iteration. And I was such a fan of that little cameo that they dropped on us in that.
Yes.
I'm a really good lawyer.
I'm a really, really good lawyer.
I love that. He just catches the brick.
Yeah, that was fantastic. But yeah, anyway, back to Shang-Chi. As I was saying, the best martial arts that we've seen on screen thus far of any show or movie.
Absolutely.
And yeah, go ahead.
I was about to say they had the fight director from like Jackie Chan movies doing that, so that's where a lot of that inspiration came from.
Good choice.
Stop trying to be budget and like there's because that's one of the first things that gets messed up. When you start talking about these fights, they look stiff or they don't make any sense. And there's guys that do it really well, but that usually comes with a price tag. And
that was the whole reason why Iron Fist sucked, is because it was supposed to be the best fight choreography and it was actually the worst.
Yeah, so make sure you're getting your fights right, because I mean you're an action film at heart for the most part. So
well, there was more to it than just action. Like this was such high fantasy when they crossed over into his mother's world, with the dragons and the Chinese fucking lions and shit. Like that's some of that shit. Some of the motherfuckers look like Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say that felt like Legend of Korra.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good example. Show
Yeah.
doesn't get enough. Show doesn't get enough love.
I haven't seen it.
But so what was everyone's final thought on Shang-Chi as far as introducing a new character and the 10 rings, which are now a major artifact?
The overall impact of the movie really wasn't like huge or anything like that, but the animations, the fight choreography, everything like that was pretty damn good. But I don't know where it's gonna go from there.
Yeah, that's why I can't give it a full 10 out of 10. I'm gonna rank it as 8 out of 10.
Same.
I was gonna give it an 8.5.
Yeah, I'll go with like an 8.5 myself. Yeah, it's just really it's just one of those. It was good, and the visuals are great. Everything was a good time, but just impact, like you were saying, the whole storyline. Like, if one that you're just not gonna catch, maybe that one, because it's not gonna.
Well, that's the thing that Marvel fucking does, though, is in things that are supposed to feel insignificant, they will stash very important clues and things that you should have watched. Like, I know that we probably missed something major by not watching Eternals, but
Yeah.
It is what it is.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, sometimes those things are so hidden in there. I'm like, you know what, Marvel? I'm just gonna look for someone. I'm gonna wait for the internet to drop a list of all the shit you hid, because I don't have time to find all that. Thank you very much.
Oh, you're such a casual, but it's okay. So I guess the best way to close this out was this year we learned that you really can tell stories that are interwoven between your TV series and your big tentpole movies, and everything continues to connect in the MCU, and that's the reason why it all just is so goddamn good.
Yeah, and their ability to keep it all fresh and different. People are gonna watch. We still care, and it really helps. I think it's gonna bring a longer life to this whole thing, because as big as the MCU is, at some point all things have to end. And if you stick with superhero movies, people are gonna wear out. But they've had enough different styles of movie. It was more, like with Loki, it felt more like kind of a buddy cop show with a Marvel shell, so you're able to tell a lot more stories.
And the same with Wanda Vision, where it felt like fucking Twin Peaks, where it was such a mind fuck of a show. Where that was what I was saying. My favorite part about Disney Plus is it allows them to take these chances and do things that, as you are saying, isn't just punch, kick, fight, fucking comic book movies.
Yeah, I like breaking up the formula for sure.
Absolutely. And Disney, I hated the fact that you were going to be a subscription plan, because I have so many now, but you've earned your place as one that I will continue to pay for and keep going. Netflix, you're on the fucking block, though.
You don't pay for Netflix. Don't you use my Netflix?
Yeah, I do. So I guess you're safe.
So, all right, I want to give everybody a final thoughts for the MCU, and then we'll wrap this up. Chase, you want to go first?
I don't know what to say.
Okay, we'll come back to you,
come
Tyler.
back.
Tyler's got nothing.
Yeah, I'm blank. Like,
Fuck me.
it's kind of like all I had to say after No Way Home, man. Just
Paul.
kind of walking out of the theater quiet.
I mean, so really just what I just sort of said, how great they're able to keep everything growing. And even with characters, they found ways to make characters that the more casual fan may have never heard of or may not have cared about. They made them important in at least some aspect throughout different ways. They brought in Ant-Man and the Wasp, and I'm just like, what is this? And what kind of character is this? But they've cast Paul Rudd, and I said, okay, I'm going to watch this. And they've just found different ways to make the series enjoyable. And I hope they can find a way to keep doing that, because, well, I guess they'll just keep getting money if they do. So
the best way I can sum up this year is this was the best way to build a new chapter off of the bones of the last 10 years.
Yeah, that the transition phase between the two is important.
We may not have Iron Man, and we may not have Steve Rogers, and we may be missing very pinnacle key characters who have passed away or whatever. But this new phase that we've just basically started is going to be it's going to be different, and it's going to be so much better than anything we've already seen, because they've already gave us 10 years of perfection. So imagine what they're about to do.
And that's the thing, really the key point with what I'm thinking here is with the transition of the phases. I know that, they've had many phases, but a lot of the superhero genre because of this has really grown to be a mass accepted thing. And one of the fears that I know the more casual person had was, well, when these phases start switching and we're getting rid of, the heroes that I know, the ones that I can identify, and we're going to switch into these other characters. Am I going to care about them? Am I going to still have that connection? Or is this kind of the end? And I think they've done a really good job with sort of transitioning to these next stages and making those connections as we're saying goodbye to the friends that we already knew.
Yeah, that's a good way to sum it up. Well, I wasn't expecting you to be the one who put the finishing touches on it.
Yeah, that's right. Fan got it.
But so yeah, I think that's a great way to end this one. I'll tell you right now, if you haven't seen any of these shows or movies we've talked about, go fucking watch them. They're all out.
Yeah, what the fuck are you doing if you haven't? Go do it.
Yeah,
you're probably just watching stupid YouTube videos like this anyway. So get out of here. We're done.
Don't insult the audience.
That's your job.
Yeah, that's my job. But it's when people tell me they don't like these movies and these shows, I think in my head, I'm like, boy, you must be real fucking fun at parties.
I mean, I don't want to be so rude. I mean, just give them a chance though. Like we've been over, there's something there for everybody. It's not all punch, chop, bite, kick, explosion. So try them out. Trust us.
I got a good way to finish this. And the new shit that's coming, what's everyone most excited for?
Ooh, Ant-Man or Guardians 3?
Moon Knight.
Probably Guardians. I love funny movies.
I'm going to pick one that's coming a lot later. I'm going to go with Secret Invasion, because I know that's going to be really big for everything that comes next.
Do you think that's going to be like their Infinity War size movie, like the big event kind of thing that they have?
Secret Wars?
Yeah, because like phase 1 had the Avengers, phase 2 had Age of Ultron, phase 3 had Infinity War and Endgame. So like they always have that really big like moment movie for the series. You think that's going to be it?
That's something that Feige has said, is that we won't see a full Avengers assembled for a very long time. So that might be it.
All right.
But yeah, so and I'm going to make one more bold claim. Nick Fury is a Skrull. He's been a Skrull since Far From Home.
Oh yeah. There's probably a lot more Skrulls in there.
Yeah, but that's all I can name right now. But
I can't figure it out.
For all you nerds,
go for it.
For all you nerds who stuck around for this whole fucking thing, we appreciate it. Tyler, Chase, I appreciate you guys doing this with us. Of course.
For sure.
The next time we got some nerd shit to talk on, I think you guys will be my nerd panel.
Oh yeah,
we have a nerd panel now, guys.
We got a nerd panel.
You should
look at this shit
in the comments. What should we call our nerd panel? Because they're going to need a name. So leave that in the comments, and we'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.